Of the three basic human needs, the most important is to feel loved and to belong. If a child believes that the only way she can feel loved and can experience a sense of belonging is through demanding attention, a child will prefer negative attention to no attention at all. It's the most common reason for misbehavior in the classroom. Sue Thomas works with children in an early learning center. One of the children in her class is a boy by the name of Jorge. Jorge constantly interrupts the class sessions with inappropriate behavior. While the rest of the class is working on an activity, he hangs around his teacher asking for help on a task that he is perfectly capable of performing on his own. Or Jorge will interrupt while Mrs. Thomas is talking to the class, blurting out questions like, "Mrs. Thomas, can we go outside to play now?" Or, "Mrs. Thomas, do you like my picture?" The boy's behavior is frustrating and annoying to Mrs. Thomas and the rest of the class. The tip-off for Mrs. Thomas in trying to identify Jorge's unmet need is to examine the feelings that she is experiencing as a result of the boy's actions. If a teacher's feelings are ones of annoyance or frustration, then the child's unmet need is to feel loved and a sense of belonging. And Jorge's means of filling this need will be an inappropriate attempt to call attention to himself. In dealing with a disruptive child seeking negative attention, the most important task of the teacher is to extend the unconditional acceptance and love that says to the child, "I care for you. I'm glad you're in my class." When a child's craving for love and a sense of belonging is satisfied through a caring teacher whom the child views as an advocate, it alleviates the need for the student to engage in disruptive attention-seeking behavior. Also, once a teacher has established warm, friendly relationships with his or her children, a disruptive child will not receive the support of the class, therefore creating an atmosphere whereby children come to view the teacher as an advocate rather than as an adversary. It's essential in maintaining classroom decorum. A good approach in dealing with an attention-demanding child is to give the child attention when it's not expected. The trick is to catch the child doing something good and to give attention to that behavior. When teachers give unexpected attention to positive behavior, it helps a child feel wanted and loved. It's important that teachers do not reward a student's attempt to get negative attention. If a child is able to draw attention to himself through misbehavior, he'll be encouraged to continue the tactic. So if it's not too disruptive to the class, a teacher should not give undue attention to negative behavior. If the child's actions do not receive support from either the class or from the teacher, a disruptive child usually will quit the behavior. When it isn't practical for a teacher to ignore an attention-seeking child, teachers can use a self-evaluation technique as a means of getting the disruptive child to think about what he's doing and hopefully to change his inappropriate behavior. Utilizing a calm, friendly, non-judgmental voice, the teacher can ask the misbehaving child some self-evaluating questions. Some examples are, "What are you doing? Could you please stop what you're doing and help Sadie with the activity? Would you like me to ask Martha to help you?" Each teacher can develop her own questions that will encourage a child to stop and think about what he's doing and to choose more appropriate behaviors. It's important that these responses be delivered in a friendly, non-judgmental voice. If the teacher's voice carries even a hint of annoyance or frustration, the child will feel attacked and the inappropriate behavior will continue. Above all else, a nurturing teacher should exert every effort in helping an attention-seeking child to feel loved and appreciated, and to feel like she belongs and is wanted in the class. The positive attention given to the child would pay huge dividends in bringing the irritating behavior to a halt. The next time Jorge tried to seek negative attention from Mrs. Thomas by begging her for help, she told him, "Jorge, you know that I really like you. Please return to your table and finish your work. Then I'll be glad to look at it and help you if you still want me to do so." In doing so, Mrs. Thomas accomplished two things. She put an end to the attention-grabbing interruption, and she set up an opportunity to give Jorge some positive attention at a later date. A nurturing, caring classroom environment is essential in conveying to children that they are valued members of the class. When kids feel confident that they are loved and that they belong, they will no longer need to seek negative attention. Remember, the most important question to ask when a child misbehaves is, what is the unmet need of this child? Address that unmet need, and the misbehavior will usually disappear. Now let's take a look at the children's misbehavior chart. What is the unmet need of this child? If a child's actions seem to say, "Look at me," "Listen to me," and you feel annoyed and frustrated, "Why is this whiny kid bothering me?" then you're probably dealing with an attention-seeking child. In seeking affirmation from the teacher, the child decides that negative attention is better than no attention at all. The child's unmet need is the need for love and a sense of belonging. What can you do? One good approach when dealing with an attention-seeking child is to give the student attention when it is not expected. Another technique is not to reward a child's attempt to get negative attention. If a student is successful in drawing attention to himself through misbehavior, he'll be encouraged to continue the tactic. When a teacher can no longer ignore an attention-seeking child, she can use a self-evaluation tactic. Ask the child these three classic self-evaluating questions. What are you doing? What should you be doing? What are you going to do now? Self-evaluating questions help a child to stop and think about what he is doing and to choose more appropriate behaviors. Teachers should exert every effort in helping an attention-seeking child to feel loved and appreciated, and to feel like she belongs and is wanted in the class. The key question to ask in dealing with a misbehaving child is, what is the unmet need of this child? When a child's need to be loved and to belong is filled by a caring teacher, the attention-seeking behavior will usually disappear.